Alright guys, another day, another adventure. Just gonna let you into something about self-actualization, self-visualization. People are always asking me, how I'm able to be so free and how am I able to travel the world and then without paying for anything. Well, I've been training for like 8 years. I've been training for 10 years, over a decade. I've been training since I was since the year 2000. I started taking athletic training seriously as a pro athlete. I started training like 8 hours a day. I was reading Bruce Lee was my inspiration. He trained like 8 hours a day, so I started training like him. Yeah, people always asking me how can you travel so much? How can you what do you do for work? Well, I don't work. I've trained like since the year 2000. I've trained really hard, like 8 hours a day, athletic training, cardio, everything, to become a kickboxing champion. And then I compete in kickboxing championships all around the world since my early teens, since my late teens. Sorry, and yeah, I've always visualised this kind of freedom. I was born in Manchester. Manchester's a really kind of a dark place, kind of miserable place. No sun, and then I've only seen like America and things like that on the TV. You see this beautiful food, these people and everything, and it just makes you realise that there's no justice in the world, and the only person you can trust is yourself. But yeah, I visualised this since I can remember, since my early teens. I trained non-stop all day, every day. Yeah, I did work. There's people watching this thinking, oh, you didn't work. Well, I did work. I remember a few years ago I was working 17-hour shifts, because everyone has to work 17-hour shifts, but I was learning Portuguese at the time because I was visualising myself being in Brazil, being around good nature, the sea, the sand, the beach, having great adventure where I've always wanted to be, visualising myself where I've always wanted to be. And the visualization's always been with me, and if you visualise it and apply it, you can be it. All you have to do is just do it and see it through. But so many people follow society's rules, and I get called crazy all the time because I say it like it is, because I have options. Because people always say, oh, you're crazy for saying that, because they judge people by text on the screen. They don't judge them by the eyes or anything real, and the eyes are the only thing that can't fucking lie. But yeah, if you do it, if you visualize it, you can you can be it. You can live the life. And right now I'm just thinking of going back to Rio de Janeiro. I never have to work ever again. I'm going back to Rio de Janeiro because I think the nature is where it's at. The sea, the sand, the nature. You just feel at peace there. There's no poisonous people. There's no miserable people trying to bring you down. You get that anyway if you follow your dreams. If you take your risk and follow your dreams, it's going to be hard. You might end up in prison. You might end up homeless or something for a while. But you'll always have jealous people trying to bring you down. But at the end of the day, you'll achieve this kind of freedom that I have, and be able to do anything, go anywhere. Like now, I might go to Bogota in Colombia. But after that, I might go straight back to Rio de Janeiro, because I have this visualization of doing a few kickboxing championships there, training kickboxing there, and just having the beach life there with coconut all the time, living the real life. That's where I felt most at peace, where there's not any pollution or any poisonous people around. Yeah, we're at peace all the time, because I've dealt with them in my life and training. But yeah, you'll always get hate. You'll always get people trying to bring you down all the time. Yeah, I trained, I think it was like the year 2000, I started training professionally as a pro athlete, 8 hours a day, and the only sleep I had was collapsed on my bed. The only thing that kept me going was the visualization I had, the imagination of my own dream, where I belong to be after years and years and sacrifice, blood, sweat and tears and sacrifice. The only rest I had was sleep. I used to stand up all day and train all day. So I was over 12 hours a day. I was always moving, but 8 hours a day I was professionally training, hard work training. Even when I was working, I did work after work 17-hour shifts, because people say, oh, you didn't have to work, you didn't have to do this. No, I did. I have to do 17-hour shifts at one point, when labour work, where my hands were bleeding, my feet were bleeding, just from lifting, throwing heavy objects all around for 17 hours. No sleep, coffee all the time, and even during that time I was learning Portuguese, because I knew I had to. Other people weren't doing anything. Other people just settle for society's rules, and you will get called crazy. People call you, oh, you're crazy, but no one crazy has ever, no one normal has ever accomplished anything if you follow society's rules, if you just to look good. Everyone cares about looking good all the time. No one cares about being extraordinary and being the best. But you have so many hours in a day, and the human body, I swear, I promise you this. People say, oh, you need this rest, you need this rest. No, the human body is capable of anything. The human body will adapt to absolutely anything. But if you settle for those rules, then you'll settle for the ordinary, and you'll have ordinary fulfillment. You won't have anything spectacular. You won't have any kind of fulfillment where you'll feel at peace for the rest of your life. I mean, now I've done the training for like maybe 17 years training out as a kickboxing champion, and I still train now, sometimes 8 hours a day, even though I haven't got a championship coming up. But if I go back to Brazil, going back to Rio de Janeiro, I will train quite hard, back to the full day, all day, every day, because it gives you peace. Because other people are following the same rules, other people are following status, fakery, just so they can get sex, and the sex isn't even good. It's only ordinary sex. It's only a small bit of pleasure, and then you spill your seed, and then you just felt spent, and then they end up blaming each other and getting in relationships and all that kind of bullshit systems that society is taught. And other people follow that because they want to look good. They care about how other people think. I don't give a fuck how other people think. If you give a fuck about what other people think, then you'll settle for what other people want you to settle for, and you'll settle for what's less than ordinary pleasures, less than ordinary pleasure in every way, living lifestyle, living in hostels or whatever, instead of living in good hotels, or living wherever you want to be. I mean, if you want this, other people saying, oh, how do you get to travel? I always find jealous people everywhere else trying to beat me down, especially because I'm a gringo. In foreign places, I always go, oh, gringo, so, not just that, people who are unhappy, who don't have the freedom that I have, always trying to bring you down. But and other people are following lies all the time, because other people are lying to everyone to try and get fake pleasures, trying to get less than ordinary sex, and less than ordinary culinary pleasures, or any kind of taste pleasure, or fake comfort, where people stay, and people will hate you for saying the truth. But if you follow freedom, if you follow your own visualization, your own dreams, which will take a lot of hard work, but the hard work is always worth it. It'll always bring it to. I mean, I love it. I get to do what I do now. I get to do what I love, and I get freedom to do whatever I want around the world. And that's after years and years of hard work and self-visualization and actualizing it and pushing myself through to get out of the dark hole that I was in, and